Good afternoon, everyone. I am enjoying some nice quiet time. The babies are asleep, Steve's out showing houses, and I'm getting a head start on my meal prep. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to share kind of the process in which that I figure out recipes and if it's a good recipe for the week. I know a lot of times I really don't follow recipes because it's a protein, a carb, and a vegetable. But sometimes that gets boring or I want to try something new. So I found a recipe for a cheesy chicken meatball, which sounded really good. But I don't have ground chicken and I don't have the attachment for my mixer, so I'm just going to use ground turkey. Now, it sounds like it would be super unhealthy, right? So what I do is take the recipe and I enter the quantity of the ingredients that I have. So I'm using, let's say, I wrote it all down on what I was gonna use because I'm tripling the recipe, right? So 5 pounds of ground turkey, a cup and a half of mozzarella cheese, a cup and a half of Parmesan, 3 tablespoons of oregano, 9 egg whites, 3 cups of oats, and a cup of onion, right? So from there, I go into MyFitnessPal, recipes, and enter all of those ingredients. Now here's where I think sometimes mistakes happen if you're following macros or trying to figure out a recipe. One, make sure that the ingredient, that it either has the green check mark or that the label matches up with what's typed in MyFitnessPal, because sometimes people enter stuff incorrectly and then you can log that for your food for the day and it's completely wrong. You logged like a 1/10 of a serving or 10 servings, right? So double check and make sure that it makes sense. Like I typed in the oats and it said for half a cup had like 100 grams of carbs. Well, that's obviously not right. So I double checked. I found one that matched the oats that I had, a real one, and logged that. And then for the yield, I enter just a guesstimate. Typically when I make meatballs, I make 70 to 90. So I just entered the number 70. So it divided the big batch recipe by 70. Now when I actually make them, I'll count how many I made and go back in and change that. So then let's say it's 74. So I'll enter 74 for the number, and that's how many grams of protein, fat, and carbs are in each meatball. Now when I go to log it to eat it, let's say I eat 5, right? I'll enter the recipe and I'll do 5 servings because I made the serving per ball. Got it? So when I entered 70 with this recipe, it ended up being 8 grams of protein, 3 grams of fat, and 2 carbs per meatball, which is great because if I eat 5 of them, run the math on that, and it's pretty well balanced. So that's how I do a recipe like a meatball or something in MyFitnessPal to figure out the macros on it. It sounds time consuming. It literally took me 2 minutes to enter all the ingredients and 3 minutes to make a video about it. So it's really not that time consuming. It's trial and error. I know macros and all that can seem complicated, but this is how I'm able to enjoy the food that I eat and not restrict myself. Like some people are like, oh, I'm on a diet. I can't eat any cheese, or I can't eat, any of this or any of that. Fill in the blank. I wouldn't consider myself to be on a diet because I eat what I want. It's about moderation and eating the right amounts of things, and how you get there is kind of up to you. Obviously, you're not going to be able to eat a well-balanced macro diet from solely Doritos and Oreos. So you end up eating the right things anyways. So if there's any more questions about macros and recipes and entering things and logging and blah, 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 let me know. I'm happy to help. Been doing it for a long time now, and it does get easier, but you just have to stay persistent and get creative.